This is Group 14 and we are presenting about financial Islamic banks in Singapore.
Hello, I will be presenting about geographical distribution of Islamic banks in Singapore. Firstly, Singapore has always been an important trading hub and a busy port for the harbour, being in a geographically strategic location. It's no wonder that large financial companies are attracted to the financial market in Singapore. Secondly, Singapore has an advantage because it is on our doorstep among the most populated Muslim countries. It is also close to China, where the development of One Belt, One Road has potential for funding infrastructure. Thirdly, Singapore offers a strategic location in the heart of Asia and has long been known as the gateway to Southeast Asia, home to a large Muslim population.
Islamic Banking and Finance has been introduced by the Egypt by the opening of Bank Faisal. Since then, Islamic banking has been accepted by the world, and there are more than 300 Islamic bankings in the world, which most of them consist of Asia countries. Now we have a new neighboring country involved in the Islamic banking system, which is Singapore. The first opening of Singapore Bank is OCBC.
A local bank, OCBC, offers two Islamic deposit accounts in the consumer market in Singapore. In 2005, OCBC became the first bank to appoint a full-time Sharia advisory council to provide guidance for OCBC's Islamic banking activities in Singapore and Brunei. The council's function is the authority in determining the validity of transactions performed by the bank. February 2006, the first Sharia-compliant term was launched by OCBC Bank. It will be sold to wholesale to Muslim companies, financial institutions, mosques and non-profit organizations. This is the contribution of OCBC to the first development of Islamic banking in Singapore.
Under management of Takaful product, HSBC Insurance has about $220 million worth of asset, which is 80% of the market in the nation. UOB Asset Management Units, together with CIMB Berhad, manage an Islamic fund which named Afdal Asia Pacific Equity Fund, which it invests in Asia Pacific market.
In November 2005, Maybank, which is Malaysia's largest bank and a leading Islamic operator in Malaysia, started Islamic Bank in Singapore with two accounts, which is Sharia-compliant online savings account and Sharia-compliant saving checking account. Later in 2005, Singapore's largest motor insurer, NTUC Income, planned to introduce Takaful and Mudharabah. In the same year, it launched Amanah Fund, which is the largest Takaful fund in Southeast Asia.
Islamic banks in Singapore are still at early stage if compared to other Islamic banking in other countries. We as customers, the main point we need from the banks are their services. So Islamic banking in Singapore offered a few products and services to the customers. For example, they provide business banking, investing banking, and overdraft and others to the customers. Products and services provided by Islamic banking in Singapore is business banking. Business banking provides a few accounts for customers. First one is Al-Wadi'ah account. Al-Wadi'ah account is designed for the convenience Muslim corporate customers, Islamic financial institutions and other Islamic bodies in Singapore, which is provided by Overseas Chinese Banking Corporation, which is Singapore dollar Islamic term deposit, which is common called as Murabaha. So, Singapore dollar Islamic terms deposit Murabaha protects the grower's customer's asset. This is provided by Maybank Singapore Berhad.
Every country has a different way of accommodating their law regarding Islamic banking and finance system.
Same goes with Singapore, which is relatively a new market player in this industry. As people already know, Islamic banking and finance system were governed mainly by Islamic law, or known as Sharia, by using Al-Quran and Sunnah as their primary source. However, introducing the Sharia law into a secular country like Singapore, which consists only 14.7% of Muslims, may cause public disagreement amongst people.
The Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS Banking Act, represent a legal framework for banking in Singapore. In 2005, Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong and Chairman of MAS expressed the government's desire to help develop the Islamic financial services industry in Singapore. Firstly, MAS conducted a preliminary review of Singapore's regulatory framework in order to decide whether Singapore would need to establish a separate banking regulatory framework for Islamic financial services. After consulting with industry practitioners, the MAS decided that there was no need to create a separate Islamic banking regulatory framework. Therefore, Islamic banking and finance were governed largely by common law, as same as the conventional one.
Recently, the issues of Islamic finance in Singapore was the economic seems to be stalled and not growing. Many people said that Islamic finance in Singapore has a big potential with a lot of ability regarding the geographic location, regulation, and infrastructure. The fact is actually Singapore has hosted sukuk for other country states, notably Malaysia Hazanah, but it's not its own. Until now, Singapore doesn't have a completely developed Islamic bank, though it used to. Islamic Banks of Asia was launched by partners, including Singapore and DBS in 2007, but last only 8 years before it was announced it could not achieve economic of scale. Then in 2018, there have only been 20 sukuk issuance in Singapore over the past 16 years. Adnan Chewan, Group Chief Executive Officer of Dubai Islamic Bank, DIB, speaking at the event forum in Singapore, that Singapore has a lot of ability, especially in terms of infrastructure and regulation, but they does not have a really intention on tapping Islamic wealth and liquidity.
Our local bank OCBC. The local bank OCBC was the first Islamic bank established or controlled by Islamic law or Sharia. The geographic distribution of Islamic finance in Singapore is advantageous because it has a large population of Muslims and is also a large center. There are also products and services specifically for Islamic money by raising funds for business and investment. Although the Islamic bank in Singapore developed later than neighboring countries, it may be due to the Islamic financial problem, not growing and not enough of investors, but the bank still providing service to the population in the country by this day.
Thank you.